Is Canada really the land of opportunity to own a home?
Moving forward with the DekkerTeam. Moving forward together with the DekkerTeam.
Welcome to the Inside Track on the DekkerTeam with the DekkerTeam on real estate. And I'm here with Silas from Kenya.
Yes.
And I'm Yetta Decker. And what we're going to do today is really explore how the contrast is in Canada versus Kenya. And we're using Kenya as the example because Silas has owned real estate in Canada and he's owned real estate in Kenya. So he is actually more of an expert than I am. And here's the fun thing is whether we're talking Kenya or we're talking another country in the world, there's a lot of various ways that real estate actually happens. So although his story to me sounds sensationalized, as we share the contrast, it sounds like that can't be true. It really is. It isn't that dissimilar to other places in the world. Mm. So even if you're thinking, well, I'm never going to own in Kenya, what does that have to do with me? Well, I think what it has to do with you is to reinforce that Canada is an incredible opportunity, a land of opportunity to own real estate. And if you're going to be buying real estate somewhere else in the world, you're actually going to want to connect with your Canadian realtor to have them connect you with a realtor in another country because the controls are not the same, is what I've heard you say. That's why it sounds sensational, Silas.
They are not the same.
So share your story. Let's just...
One, I want to say that Canada is a great country. The systems in buying homes are plain and clear. Expectations are out there. You know, when you're engaging a realtor or engaging a mortgage specialist, you know that they are going to work for your best interest. In countries like Kenya, where we've worked and also owned a home.
And you own a home now?
Yes. It is different because those rules are not clearly stipulated. There is no control mechanism. So the mortgage agents and the realtors, they are basically quote by quote brokers. And like if I wanted to sell my house, I would get somebody who can get a buyer who will be a broker, and I will tell them that I want $1 million for this house. And we will talk and we will agree the best I can get, the best that I want is $1 million. Anything he makes on top of that is his share, is his cut. So he will engage the buyer and he can tell the buyer, there's a house, a good house, at 1.5. Whatever is on top is his deal. It is his cut. And because I have that agreement with him, I can't go back and tell him no. So with that, you might find he gets 40% on your property.
Well, in that case, it's 50.
Yes, he can do that if he's able to get somebody who will buy it at that price within your timing. But here, everything is plain and clear. And it works for both the buyer and for both the seller, because the price it is not like the buyer knows I've bought it at 1.5 and the seller knows I've sold it at 1 million. The buyer will know that I've bought it at 1 million and the seller will know I sold it at 1 million. And the percentage of whatever the commission to the buyer's realtor and the seller's realtor here in Canada is stipulated in law, and that is agreeable to you, and that is what it is. But
you know in advance. You know the percentage.
Yes.
And so I think what you were saying even before we got on the air is here, your experience in Canada was it felt like the realtor was working for you. Yes. Whether buying or selling,
yes,
the realtor was on your side.
And you are not worried, like, what have they done behind, you know? You are very clear that this is everybody is working for me.
So there's a level of trust.
Yes.
That doesn't exist in many other parts of the world.
Yes.
As it comes to hiring a service professional. So are you signing as a buyer in Kenya, other than the agreement of purchase and sale, are you signing anything else?
Yes, what people do now is that they get it to a different level where you engage a lawyer. And the lawyer would do. Actually, in Kenya, if you want to buy property, engage a credible lawyer. And that's another slippery path to walk. So, in short, in Canada, I've found everything is plain and clear. And when you start a track, this is the track that I'm going to go. And it's a great land with great laws. And yeah.
So it's plain and clear, simple to follow.
Yes.
If you're
expectations are clearly stipulated. So when you engage with all the cards on the table and not some under the table.
And with your eyes open.
And with your eyes
Your
open.
eyes are wide open and you're not thinking what's going on back there or what about over here or what's going on behind my back.
It sounds sensational, but sometimes I've always wished that countries like Kenya would adopt some of the things that would help everybody. I've always asked, even like with the banking sector, if the government would create systems to help the citizenry and ensure that, like even just bank rates to secure a loan or a mortgage would be comparable to this other part of the world, Kenyans would thrive. There are so many people who can make great advantages and do what an average Canadian is doing.
Because they work just as hard.
Yes, they work.
You work just as hard in Kenya as you did in Canada?
Or doubly hard to get a meager pay. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so how did you navigate to own, because I know you now own a home in Kenya.
Yes.
So how did you navigate that journey?
It wasn't easy either, but I didn't buy an already built home, but I chose the harder path to build my house by myself on stages until it was complete.
And how many years did that take?
That took me 5 years. It can take less depending on availability of resources. It could take a year if you had all the resources. But for us, again, we worked it over 5 years.
Wow. And so in Kenya, the nice advantage is the climate is a little hotter.
Yeah, it is temperate. It is hot climate, so you can work through the year. You can work outside January to January.
Right.
Yes.
And then when you weren't living in the home you were building, you were living in a rental premises.
Yes.
Or at times, I know you've lived in the village.
Yes.
In a mud hut, basically, is how we would describe it. And that is a home. And that's another whole show.
Yes, that's another whole
style
show
of home ownership.
to live on. You know, like I would say, I don't have the statistics to my hand, but I'm definitely, it is not more than 30% of Kenyans who own permanent or modern housing.
And when we say permanent modern houses, we're talking cinder block built out of block? Concrete?
Bricks, concrete blocks.
Yep.
And probably having electricity and running water in it.
Right.
I would say not more than 30%.
Wow.
The rest of the people, they call them homes, but they are homes that would not have any value attached to it.
Right.
Yes. And so if you look at that and consider that would not be per se called proper housing, then as a nation, we have a long way to go.
Right.
And I would still say Canada is a great land of opportunity. And if you are living in this land, fight hard to own a home, because if you do, then you'll have made many notches in life.
Okay, so here you've heard Silas say it. Fight hard, work hard, do what it takes to get a home, because it is a way of building a home for your family, a place to live, and we all need somewhere to live. So thanks for joining us on the Inside Track. We love being your partners on the journey.
Moving forward with the DekkerTeam. Moving forward together with the DekkerTeam.